Just got word that Mac Jones did not speak at the podium today. He's went in for x-rays. We're going to keep an eye on that and keep you updated. That's going to be a back injury is what I'm hearing about Mac Jones. But Matt, I'll start with you. Hearing that news about Mac Jones getting the x-ray, potential back injury, what does that kind of make you think of with this being the first game of the season?
Yeah, you know, you never want to see anybody get hurt. And at the end of the day, you know, particularly your franchise quarterback, Mac Jones, coming off the year that he had last year in the first game of the season, because hopefully it doesn't keep him out anytime. But at the end of the day, he's now also going to be having to deal with maybe potentially an injury that is tough week in and week out. Look, as NFL football players, we suck it up, we go out there and play. But a lot of times those injuries that the outside world really doesn't know about, they impact your play. So it'll be interesting to see where he's at, and hopefully, like we said, from an organizational standpoint and just from a team standpoint, he's okay after the results come back from the x-ray.
You know, if Mac Jones is hurt, I'm worried because, look, yeah. I think he's tired. I think he's tired. I think he's tired of answering the questions. I think he's tired of having to do a new system. I think he's tired of feeling the weight of the world on his shoulders when it comes to, you know, he's clearly their best offensive player, and it was kind of amazing that he got through unscathed last year without missing any time. But if there is something to this back injury and he's you know, he misses time, that's a 911 because this offense clearly has no identity, is still trying to find its way, and if your best player is out, then they're in big trouble.
You got trouble, baby. If Mac Jones, if anything is wrong with him, there goes the season. It really is that serious. I mean, if you look at the franchise hierarchy, I know this is next man up in the NFL, and every franchise thinks that way, but franchise hierarchy, number one, Bill Belichick. Number two, Mac Jones. And the fact that he's not talking, that he didn't talk today, is concerning because most quarterbacks speak. Most quarterbacks who are banged up speak, and they'll give you some cliches, and they'll say, hey, we'll see what happens. We'll look at the film. They didn't make him available, which suggests that it's something fairly serious enough where they don't even want him up there answering questions. I don't think they didn't make him available because they're afraid he's going to spill it.
Yeah.
I think it's a concerning enough where, no, the priority now is to get you some treatment, not to have you talking with the media.
That's fascinating. I mean, that's certainly something to watch. And
it's big. Yeah. It's everything.
And I'll be honest, I'm fascinated by Kendrick Bourne too. Just the comments that we just heard from Kendrick Bourne. You know, he was positive, but there was an undercurrent there of frustration too.
Right.
And he was kind of telling you that too. You mentioned words trust. Yeah. Something's going on there. And that concerns me because I thought he was going to be their best offensive player this year.
Ted, Matt, Amina, I love this guy. I love his energy. Yeah. I love the production that he brought to the team last year. His attitude, at least publicly, his attitude is not the problem. I'm wondering what it is. It's got to be, you know, some story behind the scenes, because when you see him out there, I know he didn't have a great training camp, but the Patriots collectively didn't have a great training camp or a good preseason. So don't hold that against him. Join the club. True. But when you see him on the field, he's usually making a play. He does a good job of getting open. He has a good rapport with Mac Jones. I wonder why the Patriots have chosen at the beginning of the season to kind of sideline Kendrick Bourne. He didn't play in the first half, not a single snap in the first half. It's strange.
I'm almost curious to think that, you know, just speaking to Bert Breer, not only today in our pregame show, but also last week about Kendrick Bourne voicing his frustrations and asking questions in that locker room. And maybe that prompts other people to start asking questions in that locker room. Matt, how could maybe that create a snowball effect in the locker room when you have Kendrick Bourne, who was one of their best receivers last season, who also played in a similar offense, and now he's asking questions as to what's going on here in New England?
Right. The result can be ugly at times, right? Because, again, when you have a new offensive coordinator, you have a new quarterback coach, you kind of have this new system that we really didn't see today, to be honest with you. But at the end of the day, you want buy-in from those guys, particularly guys that are going to go be contributors on the team. And when you're vocal and maybe you have altercations in terms of your words with your coaching staff, it's usually not a good look, and that can put you on the shelf for a little bit. What I am impressed with Kendrick Bourne is his ability to do just what he said. You sit there for 3 quarters of a game. You don't have any reps. You're not out on the field, but somehow you keep yourself mentally available. You're ready to go in when your opportunity comes up. And then all of a sudden the ball comes to you on your first play in the game and you go make a big play for your team. I mean, that speaks a lot about the player, his character, and who he is just moving forward. And hopefully they can start to incorporate him in the offense. But the big question, again, that we're sitting here going, why?
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
But he's learning what the Patriot way is.
The hard way. The hard way. He's learning the hard way.
I've had discussions with coaches. We've had pushback. You've got players that are, an absolute cancer in the locker room. I don't think that's what Kendrick Bourne is.
Right.
Having disagreements is one thing. We're all big boys, but we work together, right? You're my coach. I get that. I respect you. But at the same time, we've got to work together. And taking other people's opinion, accepting those opinions, that's
the only thing I worry about is let's not, in Bill's, there's examples, Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl, where Bill has cut off his nose despite his face. Sometimes you go, when you see Kendrick Bourne catch the 41-yard bomb, you're like, wait a minute, Kendrick Bourne's in the game? Where's he been all game? And then you ask Bill about it. His press conference lasted less than 4 minutes, and he had really dismissed the question about Kendrick Bourne. Just basically said it just worked out that way. That's bullcrap. Something's going on, and Bill did not play him for some reason. He's in Bill Belichick's doghouse. We don't know why, but you know what, Bill? You can be that tough guy when you got Tom Brady and a great team around you with certain guys. But when you need all the best players on all hands on deck to win football games, that kind of game that you play with players is a tricky thing.
And I would say this very quickly. You got to be a pretty insecure person if the question bothers you. The question shouldn't bother you if you have the answer. Now, if you're bothered by the question because you don't have the answer, the problem is not with the questioner. The problem is with the coach. So I can imagine Kendrick Bourne is asking questions like a lot of good players do, and in a way that is not disrespectful. I can't see that.
You know what it is too, Michael, and Matthew, is that Kendrick Bourne knows good coaching. He had it in San Francisco, and it was a different coach. But he had a great coach in Josh McDaniels. So he knows what good coaching looks like, and when he's not getting even close to probably that, is my guess, he's going to have issues.